Welcome into Krail's Corner, Episode 7. Coach Krail sitting next to me again. Tough week for the Wildcats. Kind of a rough weekend, I'm assuming, coming back on Monday. How do you feel, Coach? How are we feeling?
Is this Episode 7 already?
I know,
That's
right?
amazing. The season's half over. It's incredible.
It's crazy.
Yeah, real tough game on Friday night. You know, we knew going in when we scheduled Pittsburg that they're one of the top teams in Northern California, and we were going to have our hands full, and we did. You know, we did. But, you know, you get away from the action of Friday night. You watch film on Saturday, and you look at a game where we had 4 turnovers. We had 2 long fourth down conversions that we allowed on defense, and yet the end of the game was a 10-point game. Yeah. So there's a lot of good to take away from that. You know, it's we don't live, I guess, in a world of moral victories, you know,
Sure.
and the guys know that. But you also have to learn from these games. And so, you know, when we put them on the schedule, we knew it'd be tough. And the one thing we were hoping to not happen was injury.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it looks like we may have lost one of our players to a knee injury, but we're kind of waiting and seeing on that with Ryan Bernali.
Okay. So we don't know what the cause of the full knee injury. We just know it was a knee.
He was going to the doctor today,
Okay.
and he was pretty sore yesterday as we were chatting back and forth.
Sure.
But other than that, you know, we came out okay, and looking forward to the next, 5 weeks of league play.
One thing I want to do first, I want to take a step away from the win or the loss. I want to talk about the team itself.
Yeah.
I was sitting up as high as I could be recording the game, and watching the true colors of the team come out in that fourth quarter was really incredible. Do you have any testament to say to the team's character and kind of just the overall morale of the team?
Yeah, I even think the end of the first half was amazing.
Oh,
you know,
good point.
we started out about as bad as we could on the offensive side, and we're all of a sudden down, 2 touchdowns before we kind of even knew what was going on, and kind of settled in and went in at halftime, essentially a tie game. And this team has shown all year, we've been in some tough games,
Sure.
and there's not been a time where they threw in the towel,
Yeah.
right? They just said, we're done, we're out. And that was, again, the case the other night. You know, there was a couple opportunities lost, but by and large, they went back out there. And, defense got some key stops in the second half
Absolutely.
to allow us to, stay in the game. And offense made some plays, but in the end, we just, we weren't able to get over the hump.
Yep.
We got it to within 1 score several times. And, in the end, we ended up giving up 1 more score that kind of opened the deficit a little bit. But, all in all, the effort was great.
Yeah. One thing real quick, just that second half was real brutal. It felt like we were going from 30-yard line to 30-yard line back and forth, and there was nobody getting in the red zone.
Right.
And a guy that really persevered through that was Boxer.
Yeah.
Watching up there, that guy scored his, I believe, second touchdown. Was it 2 or 3?
Yeah, he
Was
scored
something.
2.
His last touchdown, we watched him
Yeah.
go in the end zone. That guy put every ounce of effort he had in that field. And I just wanted to give him the shout out on the interview. Just that guy's an absolute tank.
He's been our workhorse running the ball. And it's interesting because over the years we've usually had 2 or 3 guys, but this year it's kind of, I don't know, you never know going in, but this year he's had the lion's share of carries and he's just tough as nails and wants the ball more. He had several catches the other night as well out of the backfield, and he's just a great teammate, great leader for us.
So diving into the game a little bit, I want to talk about some early first quarter coverage issues. It seemed like they were getting the ball over top a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say to that and why that was kind of happening?
We knew going in that they were a big play team. They've got some outstanding guys on the outside, and their quarterback can throw it. So, we talk about that explosive play. Let's limit that explosive play. And one way you give up an explosive play is over the top, right? And so, especially that first series, we had them punting the ball essentially, and the guy threw a long ball, and we had 2 guys within literally inches of the ball.
Yeah.
And it dropped in, and the guy made a great catch down by the 5-yard line or whatever it was. But that particular play was really deflating because they were set to punt the ball away, and they had a bad snap, and the ball pops right up to their quarterback who was going to kick it, and then he makes the long throw. So it's, those are things that, when you talk about giving up the long ball, sometimes early in games you don't have a sense of how fast guys are.
Sure.
Right? That happened down at Liberty as well. Their receiver was faster than we thought. And so, there's an adjustment period. Now, we're trying to get our guys to err on the side of being back rather than up close and tight. And that's obviously still a work in progress.
Sure.
But we did give up some big plays the other night, and those, ended up being a little bit costly for us.
Yeah.
So.
One more thing we want to talk about for Pittsburgh. Just I got some stats written. I'm not going to go into them. The quarterback play was a little shaky.
Yeah.
I saw Shane Timmons came in for the first time.
Right.
Congrats to him coming back from that transfer.
Yeah.
What do you think about going forward into these next 5 games in these league play? Who's going to man the helm, or is it going to be kind of a combination like it's been? How do you feel?
This year's been a challenge at the quarterback spot with Scotty Brennan in the mix as well. And, we were all excited to see Shane, get on the field. He's earned it. And unfortunately, I think the lights were brighter maybe than what he expected.
Yeah.
He was super nervous, and he was the first one to say that, know. And so, in hindsight, throwing him out there against that really good team was a tough ask.
Yeah.
But he was dying to get out there and deserved to be out there. So, going forward, I think AJ's kind of established himself as the number one. Mm-hmm. Shane is definitely going to play as well. Mm-hmm. Scotty is in the mix too, and it's hard when there's 3, and so all 3, we're just trying to encourage all 3 guys to compete every day.
Of course.
Try to get better, and ideally you have one guy.
Yeah.
Right, and that guy plays until he's injured or the season's over.
That's what it was last season with Jake Boyd, the season prior.
Right. So this year, and I think AJ's gotten better each week. We're learning some things about checking the ball down and not forcing some throws, and so that's gotten better. But there's still room for improvement there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving into next week, Sacred Heart Prep at home for our homecoming game. First game of league play. How are you feeling about going into this game, coming off a really, really tough opponent, and maybe going into play somebody that's less of a challenge physically and mentally as Pittsburgh was?
Sure. They're going to be less of a challenge physically.
Sure.
But in terms of how well they're coached and the enthusiasm that they play, they're going to be at that same level. Yeah. So it would be a real mistake on our part if we let our guard down and made the assumption that we're just going to waltz through this game, because that's not going to happen. They're an opponent that beat us last year. We went to their place on a Friday afternoon, and it was early in the year, and we played very poorly and left out of there losing 10-7, thinking what just happened, and so we're going to keep that fresh in our guys' mind, that this is a well-coached team, and they surprised us last year, and so we can't let that happen again. But it is. I told the guys after our tough loss on Friday that all of our goals are still right there that we set out: a league championship, a CCS playoff berth, and possibly a championship, a NorCal game. You never know, right? So we survived a 3-2 non-league schedule, and now it gets real in terms of accomplishing our goals, and so the first step is Sacred Heart Prep, and it's homecoming, which is always a festive week and atmosphere and everything, and they're going to be up for the task as well.
Mm-hmm. In talking to some of the guys just prior to this week, and even talking to some of them this morning, they seem to think that they have a real good chance at these next couple of games, especially losing to Pittsburgh and Grant, 2 great teams in and of their own right, and by such little margins.
Right.
They're all excited going into league play. The only caveat is, how are some of these injuries that are now coming about, and how are some of these guys coming off of injuries going to affect the play? You got Spencer Berg coming back, George Charles, 2 guys that were really excited. I spoke to them last week about Thursday or Friday.
Right,
they were super excited to come into it. How do you think these guys coming back are going to really impact the game?
Well, George played really well on Friday night.
He did.
That was his first action back full time, and he played great on the offensive line. Spencer's still kind of figuring it out.
Sure.
He's coming off a pretty bad knee injury, and when we throw him right in the middle of the defense like that, there's a learning curve when you get back out there. So hopefully, having that game under his belt, he's going to relax a little bit and just play. Because we know what he's capable of when he's healthy. He's a dominant football player. I mentioned Ryan Vernali earlier. He's probably going to be out at least this week and potentially longer. So, but other than that, Friday night against Pittsburgh was our first opportunity to have essentially our whole team. Yeah. And it looked pretty good. Yeah. And then obviously losing Ryan's going to be a challenge, but it's next man up, and that's cliche, I know, but we have an offensive line group where we just lost our best player.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do, right? We're going to feel sorry for ourselves? No.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to feel sorry for us, right? So there's going to be a competition Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to see who's going to take over that spot.
Yeah. Personally, I'm super excited. I know the guys are excited. I know we got homecoming week coming here. We got Spirit Week.
Pajama day today.
Pajama day.
Yes.
We are super excited here around the high school to come into this Spirit Week and come into this homecoming week and really go out there and kick some butt. With that being said, thank you for checking into Krail's Corner. Coach Krail, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. See you for episode, 8 now?
I guess
episode 8. See you episode 8 next week after Sacred Heart Prep. Catch you next time.